Here are 20 duologues for 2 teenage female performers from brand new or contemporary texts. The characters are often younger teens, or around 15 or 16 years old. The themes and issues feel a bit more youthful than young adults, and there are a few swear words in here which could be cut or altered if necessary. Right, here we go. Mia and Izzy from That Face by Polly Stenham. Start on page 13 on Izzy's line, Jesus Mia, and end at the end of the scene on page 17. In a boarding school dorm late at night, Izzy and Mia have drugged and tied up Alice, who sat in a chair and is unconscious. You could use an empty chair or have someone sit in and play this non-speaking role. Alice and Bridget from Linda by Penelope Skinner. This is scene 4. Start on page 35 at Alice's line, get into bed, I want to turn the light out, and end at the end of the scene when Alice says, shut up, go to sleep. This scene has 2 half-sisters sharing a bedroom together. They're talking about their lives, their families, and their dreams. Katie and Tia from Firebird by Phil Davies. This is the first scene of the play on page 9 and ending on page 22. Katie and Tia are 14 and they've escaped together to get drunk on a bridge. This is quite a long scene, so we'll most probably need some cuts to the text. Amina and Zuzu from Dance Nation by Claire Barron. This is scene 9, starting on page 59 with Amina's line, Hey Zoo, and ending on page 66 with Amina's line, I just don't really have anything to say. Amina and Zuzu are in their young teens. They're rival dancers and friends. Here they discuss their future plans and address their rivalry. This play is originally set in Ohio in America, but the text is flexible and works with any accent. Alice and Caterpillar from Alice by Laura Wade. This duologue starts on page 30 with Caterpillar's line, Stay Where You Are, and ends on page 33 on Caterpillar's line, Process Her. This is a brilliant contemporary reworking of Alice in Wonderland. Here, the caterpillar interrogates Alice like a border control officer. There's a chorus of Wonderlanders in this scene, but they can be easily cut to make this a functional and very fun duologue. Alice and Cheshire Cat from Alice by Laura Wade. This duologue starts on page 48 with Cheshire Cat's line, Hello You, and ends on page 55 with Cheshire Cat's line, Some people have no taste. Further along in Alice's adventures, she meets a tactile, furry, and seductive Cheshire Cat. The cat is originally a he, but it works equally well being played by a female performer. Charlotte and Heather from A Brief History of Helen of Troy by Mark Schultz. This is scene 2, starting on page 16 with Charlotte's line, He's like obsessed, and ending on page 22 at Charlotte's line, Goodbye. Charlotte and Heather are 15 or thereabouts, and they're in Charlotte's room talking about looks and life. It's originally American, but it works in a non-American accent just as well. Lucy and Jess from Lucy Light by Sarah Milton. This scene starts on page 4 with Lucy's line, I never have to do geography again, and ends on page 9 with Jess's line, You'll be fine, do your eyeliner. Lucy and Jess are 15 and are celebrating, having just finished their GCSEs. Some of the text is in bold, which is addressed directly to the audience, so this is a great scene to explore some fourth wall breaks from the characters. Tash and Zoe from Little Sweet Thing by Roy Williams. Start on page 29 at Tash's line, Yes, can I help you? And end on page 33 at Zoe's line, See you tomorrow. Zoe and Tash are in their mid-teens, and this is a short, snappy, antagonistic scene between the pair. Mickey and Keeley from Offside by Sabrina Mahfouz and Holly McNish. Start on page 4 with Mickey's line, When that whistle blows, I'm alive, and end on page 8 with Keeley's line, She missed. Mickey and Keeley are 2 young footballers, and in this scene they're playing a match. This has direct address throughout, and I would cut all the interjections from the supporting characters, as the scene works perfectly without them. This duologue would be perfect for physical or sporty performers. Ikra and Moona from Cuttin It by Charlene James. This duologue starts on page 25 with Ikra's line, "Are you okay?" and ends on page 28 at Ikra's line, "Moona." Moona and Ikra are 15. They were both born in Somalia and live in England. This is a lovely, tender duologue where they speak to each other on the bus for the first time. Bex and Ruth from Lit by Sophie Ellaby. This scene is called Bex Meets Ruth and is on page 13. Start at Bex's line, "I'm Bex," and end on page 16 with Ruth's line, "I'm Ruth." Here the girls talk for the first time on a riverbank. Bex has more text, including a monologue in the middle of the scene. Scene 3, Pet Project from Buckets by Adam Barnard. This is scene 3, called Pet Project. Start on page 9 at "You look sad, why are you sad?" and end on page 11 with "I read his diary." This is a quirky scene about a dying hamster. The parts are unnamed and ungendered, but it works really well performed by two young female performers. Megan and Holly from Broken Biscuits by Tom Wells. This duologue is in scene 2. Start at "Holly turns the fairy lights on" at the top of page 19 and end on page 22 at "They both get the giggles." Megan and Holly are both 16. They're in Megan's shed trying to play music. Megan plays the drums and Holly plays the flute. This is a really fun scene and isn't dependent on amazing musicianship, but works equally well if you have performers who do play musical instruments. Dean and Danny from Pronoun by Evan Placey. This is scene 9. Start at Dean's line, "Danny," on page 43 and end on page 47 on Dean's line, "Lean, low, hum, tea, again." Dean is transgender and here they're speaking to their younger sister Danny. It's an emotionally complex scene and it's beautifully written. Stephanie and Kat from Morning by Simon Stevens. This is scene 1 of the play. In Simon Stevens' plays 4, the scene runs from page 201 to page 206. Start at Stephanie's line, "When are you going?" and end at Kat's line, "I guess." Kat and Stephanie are both 17 and Kat is leaving for uni. In this scene, Stephanie presents Kat with a gift. A and Z from Wolfie by Ross Willis. This is scene 1 on page 4, starting at A's line, "Once upon a time we da twins," and ending on page 10 on A's line, "The story of the Sharky twins is changed forever." This is a really quirky duologue full of direct address to the audience. A and Z are twins and they're sharing the story of their birth. There's a few more swear words in this duologue than some of the others, but it's incredibly playful, poetical and packed with plenty of pep. Shay and Billy from When the Leaves Fall by Grace Tarr, published in the Monobox Play Start 2. In this book, this scene is the opening of the play on page 41. Start at Shay's line, "What can you see?" and end on page 51 on Shay's line, "I can't do it," just before Max enters. Shay and Billy are two young women and they're in a forest at night time on the eve of a large-scale environmental protest. Leah and Sophie from Lands by Antler. This is scene 4, which starts on page 17 with Leah's line, "Looks like 4 men in a car," and ends on page 25 with "Sophie is left with an empty board." This is a very quirky little scene between two young women. Leah is doing a puzzle and Sophie is bouncing on a trampoline. In this scene, their friendship is put to the test. A and B from Tape in Blank by Alice Birch. This is scene 4 called Tape. Start at B's line, "What's that?" on page 30 and end on page 36 on A's line, "Please." I've saved the best till last here. There are 2 versions of this incredible play, and I'm referencing page numbers in this version. It's the 2018 Connections edition, rather than the 2019 Donmar Warehouse edition. Alice Birch offers a blank template, a theatrical provocation with 50 scenes for children. In this scene, it's inferred that 2 young people are incarcerated or in care. It's an extraordinary play, and this one scene is just one of the gifts from a whole playful. You can order the plays from the publishers, Bloomsbury, which now incorporates Methuen Drama and Oberon Books, Faber and Faber, and Nick Hearn Books, or from Amazon. And there we go, 20 duologues for 2 female teenage performers. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you, please give it a like, do check out these other videos and subscribe, and if you want to support what I do and the channel, you can click on the link in the video description. All the best.